Hey everyone, this is Shreyas and welcome back to another video. So I've been using the Pixel 6 Pro for a while now and it's been a good 2 months I've used this particular phone. Now a lot of things have happened around the Pixel 6 Pro, starting with its availability, its price, the upgrades, the bugs, etc. So I'm going to give you a rundown of everything, but I want to disclose some things to you about this particular model. So obviously the Pixel 6 Pro is not officially sold in my region, so I had to get my hands on it through some friends and some very nice help. Number two, there is no warranty in my region, so that's why I mostly use it in a case. Also have put a tempered glass after long time. Another thing is that I'm recording this in India and my usage does not involve any 5G because it's non-existent over here. And the last thing is that for a while I used my OnePlus 9 Pro side by side with this. I had made a comparison, although not really detailed. You can check it out over here. So refer to that if you want to know about my perspective. And so with that said, this is the Pixel 6 Pro. Here is the long-term review of it. Should you buy it in 2022 with all these launches happening around Samsung, the 8 Gen 1 chipset phones, etc. This is Shreyas and let's check that out. Let me begin with the build and design, which I actually like. From the front, I feel this completely resembles the Note lineup, and which has become the S22 Ultra lineup. It's very boxy, which I do not really appreciate because I have used phones with not such rounded, but this radius of curvature is very low over here. But I did not have any issues with holding it because the weight distribution of it is very good, although this is a relatively heavier phone. Not just that, I've been using it with a case and a tempered glass, so that adds on to it. This is kind of the heaviest phone I have used till date. Coming to the build quality, I have absolutely no complaints. It is very solidly built and has Gorilla Glass Victor support both on the front and the back, unlike the Pixel 6, and also uses a strong aluminium frame around it. But there are two things that I do not like personally. One is the plastic cover on the top of it. Now thankfully I got the black variant, although I'm not a fan of the colorway. So it gets the black plastic, which is not really visible in the black variant, but it will be more visible in the other color variants. Another thing is the glossy back. Now just look at this reflection. It is extremely glossy and equally a fingerprint magnet. On a surface, this is extremely slippery, contrary to which it is not that slippery in the hand. Now, I have slightly greasy fingers from time to time and it actually kind of helps grip the phone. Not just that, the camera hump is also there, which is extremely pronounced, but it helps to keep the phone in the hand very comfortably, and it kind of feels like in the right position for my size of hands. Only good thing about the camera bar is that it does not rock when you keep it flat on the table, even when you don't have a case on. Let's come down to display. Now this is a really great display. Now first of all, there are few caveats with it. For example, you cannot tone down the resolution of the display. It is always on 2K. You have variable refresh rate on this going up to 120 Hz. Now it does use LTPO technology, but I did not see it go lower than 60 Hz. So that's something I could not really measure, because also I'm told that the developer option, refresh rate option, is not really accurate. This debate is going on around a lot of flagships. I did not actually see it happening on my OnePlus 9 Pro as well, but it is primarily supposed to affect the battery life and improve it, which I will visit in the later part of the video to give you more perspective on that. But all in all, I love the display. It gets ample bright. Now it might be behind the Samsung's crazy 1750 nits of brightness, but this gets ample bright, and the screen was brighter than my OnePlus 9 Pro under direct sunlight. So that's something that I appreciated personally. Not just that, the HDR performance of the screen is really great. The curves on the screen are subtle. Now this is something I feel is a mandate for phones this big. I can never use sharp-edged phones because I know the actual ergonomic advantages you have when it's curved, and I did not have any ghost touches, even though half of my palm was covering it when I was trying to reach the other corner with my hand. The curves are subtle but really effective and gets the job done with giving you a good hand-holding experience. Continuing with the multimedia experience, I think the speakers are great, almost equally balanced in terms of intensity from the top and the bottom firing speaker, and gives a very good stereo sound effect. And next thing that I would come to is performance. Now performance depends on a lot of things. Obviously the hardware is new. It is called the Tensor in terms of marketing material, but at heart it is a Exynos 2200. Now in the tech community, Exynos does not have a great reputation. Google has tweaked a few things personally and added a few components to enable their special sauce features as well. Make sure to subscribe and comment down below if you want to know about the exclusive features of the Pixel 6 Pro. If you are using another Pixel, you can check the video out over here where I list other special features of the Pixel 4a. Personally, I did not have any poor experience with it. Initially, before the January update came in, there were a few times where I faced bugs, and they were very simple ones and mostly software oriented, like when you pull down the notification tray, it went transparent instead of the solid, which is shown for Android 12. There were a couple of app crashes as well. Twitter was extremely unoptimized, but surprisingly after the Jan update, it's running very smooth. It did not crash on me even once. I did get the occasional stutters, but I have faced that on every phone I have used with Twitter on it, at least on the Android side of things. Apart from that, it has been a very smooth experience. Now, another thing that I did not test explicitly is the heating and throttling, etc., because I don't game on my phone. And throttling is something that happens only when you're pushing to the phones to its maximum extent for a sustained period of time, which almost no realistic workload does. Even if it does, I did not personally face it. Now about the heat generation, I think sometimes when I'm doing things like a lot of pictures or a lot of video recording, this does get warm. Now it does not overheat, close the camera app or something like that, which a lot of people complained of, especially out in the West where they got hands on it before me. And I completely agree that they might be existing, but on my unit, I am staying at around 32 degrees Celsius over here. I did not face any problems of overheating. Sometimes when you're using the camera a lot, it does get warm just under the camera region where probably the SoC is placed. And that's something you should keep in mind. Now the next thing is the software, and here is where the other topic also comes in, especially in case of the Pixel 6 Pro, that are the bugs. Let's go over the good parts, which is Android 12. Now I personally love it. The reason that I was really desperate for the Pixel 6 Pro was Android 12, to be honest, and especially the high refresh rate experience of Android 12, because I used the Pixel 4a a lot and I loved Android 12. Now I was waiting for it to come to a flagship phone where I could experience it with the core Pixel experience. Now obviously it comes with its own basket of special features. Now it has a extremely good voice typing, it has Magic Eraser, it has call out functions for receiving calls or dismissing alarms, and there are a whole load of features which are exclusive to the Pixel 6 Pro and Pixel 6 only. So again, stay subscribed and comment down below if you want to know about those special features so that you're not using your Pixel 6 series phones to the maximum potential. And all in all, I really enjoy the software experience. I do not really have some complaints. Now coming to the bugs, a lot of people had issues like call dropping issues. Wi-Fi bug got introduced after the February update, which I fortunately faced none of. Not just that, I have a Wi-Fi 6 router as well. I had faced no call dropping issues or Wi-Fi bug. I might be a lucky one, so that's something you should keep in mind, especially if this is not officially available in your region. Now there were other things like optimization of apps, app crashes, but I'm not sure what is to be expected down the line. I can only hope it gets better, but that's something you should keep in mind. Now the last thing which is important in terms of Pixel 6 Pro is the battery life. Now I am kind of taken aback by how good the battery life has been. I am getting easily 6 hours of battery life and sometimes 20% left at the end of the day, sometimes even more. So it has run me almost 1.5 days in a couple of occasions as well, with at least 5 hours of screen on time. Now one thing I do miss out is fast charging, because I have been spoiled by OnePlus's fast charging. I do not have a habit of overnight charging because of that particular reason. I did not really have battery anxiety, which I did have with the OnePlus 9 Pro. So the battery life of this is way better than my OnePlus 9 Pro, but still fast charging is something that I find missing. This does come with wireless charging and reverse wireless charging. I use it a lot to charge up my earbuds. And you can see some other battery stats over here. You can see how much percentage I've taken the screenshot on and the remaining percentage in the top right corner of the screenshot. And approximately the charging time for this, I used a PD charger. It has the maximum output of 45 watts or 65 watts depending on how many devices I have connected. But this supports a max of 30 watts, which I could not measure or challenge, because a lot of people reported it charges way less than 30 watts. The only trend that I have noticed in optimized charging mode, which is under the battery settings, is that till 80% it is quite fast. So for 80% you take around 45 to 50 minutes, but the last 20% is where it takes a lot of time. So it will easily drag on for another half an hour for the last 20 minutes. Now it could be good for your battery health, and that's why probably Google is doing it. What I can do is try not to use the optimized battery charging mode and see if it does it any faster. Now the next thing that Google made a huge leap on is the camera. There is a lot to talk about this camera, so I would like to make a dedicated video on the same. So comment down below again if you want to know about that, because there are a lot of features, camera features, editing features, video recording modes, etc., which could be really handy for you to know or be aware of, and all the caveats and how it works out in the real life. But all in all, I am really enjoying this camera experience. I have only two major complaints over here. First is the ultra wide. Now the ultra wide is really good. Now obviously, as a lot of people already stated, the field of view is not as wide. The only silver lining could be that you get almost zero distortion around the edges of your ultra wide photos. Now the ultra wide is a 12 megapixel sensor, which sometimes makes the shot bit soft. Night side is magical, it works like a charm. But Google over here, and especially Android phones in general, which trail behind iPhone in terms of video quality, the weaknesses of this particular ultra wide lens comes out even more and is very apparent. Now this is a panning shot you can see over here. I am recording this in the ultra wide lens right now, and things are almost invisible in the shadow parts. Just when I switch to the wide angle lens, you can see so much detail. I don't know if Google can, for its next iteration, put in a bigger sensor at least, if not a higher megapixel. That would be really helpful because it helps gather in a lot more light. Now I understand the optics might get a bit complicated, but I use the OnePlus 9 Pro and I still feel it is the best nighttime ultra wide camera that is there, because of its 50 megapixel sensor and its optics, and the size of the sensor is huge. It really helps. I can realize it when I come down to the Pixel 6 Pro. Now the other thing which I did not really enjoy is sometimes at low light, the focus hunting of the telephoto lens. Now I'm talking about really challenging situations where there is probably only one source of light or a very dim environment. I'm not sure how common this is in other telephoto lenses which have a periscope sensor, but I hope this gets a bit better. And sometimes another caveat you should keep in mind at least is that when you're using the telephoto sensor, if it's really dim, it will crop in from the main sensor, because again the aperture of the telephoto sensor is not very wide, because of which the light collected on the sensor might be very less, although the sensor size and the megapixel count is pretty ample enough. Right, so one thing I forgot to mention about the cameras is the front camera. Now this is a video camera sample. Here are a couple of selfies that I took. Now, although the video is not great, you can see some noise on my shirt maybe over here, but the selfies, I'm really happy. I'm coming from the OnePlus 9 Pro, which had a terrible selfie camera, so I am happy. Now the video is again still the weak point and the Achilles heel, unfortunately. One more thing I want to add to the Pixel experience are the haptics. Now this is really good implementation of haptics I have felt in a long time, barring the OnePlus 9 Pro maybe. Unfortunately on the 9 Pro, the Android 12 update disabled a lot of the fancy haptics it had. So this becomes my favorite haptics personally of my personal usage. And with Android 12L, a lot of haptics is put into the UI, yet to go live for the Pixel 6 Pro, unfortunately. That says about the software situation. But yeah, used it on my Pixel 4a and I'm loving it, and I'm really looking forward to use it on the better haptic motor of the Pixel 6 Pro. So now back to the video. So that's my experience with the Pixel 6 Pro in 2022. Now, unfortunately, the software support of this is being challenged by Samsung, who are offering 4 major platform upgrades for their particular flagships. Now, that's something I think Google should come up with and also offer on the Pixel 6 series. That aside, I feel really happy about this stock Android experience that I get. It nails the fundamentals in my perspective. I did not have any bugs which I faced at least post January update, and the rest has been sailing very smooth for me, and I have actually enjoyed my experience on the Pixel 6 Pro more than I have on any other flagship, and most of it is because of the software features which I feel are useful on my day-to-day routine, more than, you know, a lot of hyped up features which are advertised and marketed by other companies a lot. I hope you enjoyed this long-term review of my Pixel 6 Pro. If you have any questions, make sure to comment down below. I will get back to you as soon as possible. And if you want any follow-up videos about the Pixel 6 Pro, make sure to stay subscribed on the channel, and also stay subscribed because I'm going to be covering Android 12L stable versions, and not just that, even the Android 13 developer previews and upcoming open betas with obviously the stable version down the line when it launches. So that's been it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.